Hi, welcome back, everybody. This is Lindsay, and this is Linda's Investing. Today, I bring you another guest, women investor, Miss Denise. And I met Denise through school or school community. She is usually and present every Wednesday at the Ladies Aurora Zoom Accountability Call. And she's bringing all the information with her market and her investments. She's also a realtor and she is more than welcome to help you look for your next investment in Texas, actually. So, hi, Denise, how are you doing?
Hi, Lindsay. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thank you so much for coming in the channel. I would like to ask you a few questions about your market. So, you're in Texas, right? Where in Texas are you?
I'm based in Austin, Texas, in the suburbs called Round Rock.
Yeah.
I cover Austin, Round Rock, Huddle, all the suburbs in Taylor, Cedar Park, pretty much everywhere in Williamson County and Travis County.
How long have you been investing in Austin or suburbs of Austin?
I've been investing since 2016. I bought my first property 3 days after my son was born.
What were you doing before investing in real estate?
So I just had a W-2 job, and I still have a W-2 job. But I started my first job at Intel back in 2011 in Hillsboro, Oregon. Then I moved to Austin in 2013. So back then the housing prices are a lot cheaper in Austin. And you could find houses in the low 200s in the suburbs. And some of my friends were investing, and I thought that's a great idea, right? So with the W-2 income, it was easy to save up and buy something in the 200s with 20% down.
Mhm. And then so you started investing. What was your first step?
My first step, I mean, back then I didn't really know what I was doing, right? So I had a realtor back then. He helped me find my, first house for me to live in. And then I just asked him, hey, where are some good areas to invest, that I can, at least break even. Uh, the rent can cover the mortgages. And he just recommended some areas like North Austin in like Cedar Park, Round Rock, these areas. And back then, these areas are like really like a lot cheaper compared to now, right? And yeah, I just looked at some properties and the numbers worked out. I didn't really know what I was doing. I just did like a 15-year or 20-year loan, um, which now I look back, I should have done 30-year because interest rates were so low back then, right? But I was able to break even at the time. I didn't really think about cash flow. My thought was just, because I was still like young in my late 20s, I just thought if I buy now, the property's gonna appreciate. I like how population is growing in Austin, and I know that it's gonna appreciate. So that was my thinking at the time. I didn't really think about cash flow, right? But um, the houses didn't cash flow really until 7 to 8 years into owning them, right? So it wasn't until after COVID, in 2021, 22, I was able to increase the rent significantly, and now I'm cash flowing 500 to 600 on those houses I bought back then.
Hmm. So you didn't, it's not like the traditional way of investing in which you're like you found a rich dad, poor dad, or you found all of these people like on in investors, and then you were like, oh, I'm gonna go and invest like they do.
No, back then I wasn't introduced to that rich dad poor dad world, and I wish I was, right? I wish I was introduced to because I didn't read that book until just this year, and I knew about this book for a while, and it's just so eye opening. But I had heard about the FIRE movement back then, financial independence, retire early. So I really was interested in retiring early, like even like in my late 20s. So buying those houses was part of the plan on me retiring early.
Yeah, yeah, understood. So, there's a lot of people that I talk to on a daily basis that they always say you can't make it real estate. Real estate is too expensive. Tenants will stop paying. You're gonna be is stuck with the mortgages. And even when they say they want to invest, they want to save, they get stuck into this like time zone of like, oh, what am I gonna do? They have this analysis paralysis that like they're like able to analyze every deal, but they're not able to move forward. What made you basically take action right away instead of being stuck in this limbo?
Yeah, I'm like the type of person like when I see something I like and I believe in it, I take action right away. Um, which kind of is counterintuitive because I have a degree in like finance. I'm super analytical too. So for my job, I do a lot of analytical work. But really when it comes to like my personal life, I'm very like fast action. Like I take action very fast. Like I don't really when I see something I like, I believe like you have to take action right away. Because like money loves speed, right? If you like kind of hesitate and you wait, then you're not in the game. Like it's better to be in the game early than wait for that perfect deal to come up, right? It's really it's more about time in the market versus timing in the market.
Hmm. Hmm. I think that is the biggest thing that holds down people of like they're trying to get into at the bottom, even with investing like in the stock market, right? You're always trying to like, what is the next stock that is gonna explode? What is the next company that's gonna go public? And then I can buy the IOPs instead of like, working towards that incrementally over the course of time. Like we all know the concept of dollar cost average, right? If you
Right.
stay there, oh, eventually you would be graded on if you start today as opposed to start whenever. But yes, so it's specifically there's not a lot of women in our industry, and I know you're also a realtor, and then yeah, you are neck to neck with other people's investors, realtors, property managers, contractors in your industry. How do you feel about being a woman investing in your city?
I do feel like there are more guys in our industry for sure, right? Especially when it comes to investment in real estate. Um, being as a woman, I don't really think myself as like I'm different from like the male realtors or investors. I I kind of treat myself as like one of them. I don't think myself differently, like being a woman. In fact, I think it's an advantage, like being a woman realtor and investor. Because there are not many women doing that. It kind of differentiates me a little bit. So yeah. But I do think like girls or like young women, they need to think about investing early in their career. Um, because the time value of money, right? The earlier you invest, the better it's going to be for you in the long run. So I do think like younger women, they need to think about that early in their early 20s once they get their first job. Because that's one thing I took away from college is that, you need to invest early in your life, take advantage of the eighth wonder of the world, the compounding of the interest, right? So that's one thing I always make sure I did in my early 20s is every paycheck I get, I invest at least 10 to 15% in the 401k in the stock market. And that really helped me because by the time I was like 28, 29, and I was leaving my first job to my second job, I had to transfer my 401k to my second job and I already had close to 100k. And the person who was doing my transfer, she was like really impressed. She said, "Wow, I can't believe like you already have that much in your retirement account, right?" But that was just diligence of me putting money aside every single month, paying myself first, then pay for other things.
Yeah. And when did you learn that? Like I feel like there's a lot of people right now that they're like YOLO and they don't even think about investing because it sounds like it's so far away, right? Like I'm gonna retire 65, I'm 20 years old. Why would I even try to put 10 to 20% away from my paycheck?
Where did I learn that? I guess like because I studied finance in university, and also like my first job was also like a financial analyst role. So I was like surrounded by people in my network who was like in the finance profession, right? So I was going to seminars and listening to these more experienced professionals talking about, how like you should invest when you're young, right? So one of the seminars I go to, he was a VP in tax, I believe, at Intel at the time. And he was just giving free advice to people who are newer to the company. And that was like the takeaway I got from that one seminar was just, making sure you are regularly putting away money in your 401k, in the Roth 401k. That's a better way to defer taxes too. So that's what I was doing. Like I didn't know how much I was accumulating until I, decided to change job in my late 20s, right? So just put the money aside, don't even think about it, right?
Yeah, yeah. And then so you bought properties in 2016 and now you're barely cash flown during COVID era. And then how did you make a cash flow? Did you just wait for the rents to keep up with the market with inflation? Or did you switch your strategies and then that's where you started seeing a difference in your cash flow?
Yes. So during COVID, like 2020, 2021, like Austin saw a boom, right? 2021, a lot of people were moving to Austin. There was very little inventory in the Austin area. And a lot of people were looking to buy, and those who couldn't buy, they were looking to rent. So we saw a significant demand increase in the Austin rental market and the housing just buying and selling market, right? So I was able to increase my rent 1 year by close to, I think I increased it from 2,000, like 100 to 2,500 or something. Like that 1 year I increased 4 to 500. That was like 2021 for both of my properties that I bought like in 2016, 2017. I was able to increase by 4 to 500. And the reason I was able to do that is because like I said, the demand was high. Second of all, my taxes increased a lot, right? So I had to tell my tenant, I have a big tax bill I need to pay, right? I really don't want to increase your rent, but I'm in the situation I have to because my taxes are, a lot higher. And the tenants were actually like okay with that, right? So one of them was okay with it. The other one, I had somebody move out. The new couple moved in, and they're from California, and they're okay with the rent. Yeah, so I guess my mortgage were like super low because I got interest rate from like 2016, 2017 at 3.5%. Even though I did like a 15-year and a 20-year mortgage, my overall PITI was like still low. Yeah, so yeah, a lot of people who bought like at the peak of the market in 2021, they were not happy with their tax bill in 2022, but I'm different because like I bought really early, right? Even though my tax went up, my rent also went up, and I was able to cash flow.
Mm-hmm. And then you say you bought really early, but not you bought when you could, as opposed to like keep waiting for properties to go down, which we
Right.
all know like properties would go up eventually. Like, and if they go down, like the economy is actually doing something really bad. Like we're really crash out for the properties to, you know, do like a 20% drop on price or something on value. But yeah, so 2021, 2022 is when you saw like a cash flow increase into your properties. Did that give you more drive to like, oh, I need to buy more houses now?
Yes, it kind of did. The market was so crazy in like 2021, 2022 in Austin. It didn't make sense to buy because everybody wanted to buy here. The price was insane. What I should have done was to sell, right? But I didn't sell because back then I still wanted to pay off my mortgage. And now I have a completely different mindset. So in 2023 is when I started to see the market slows down in Austin because interest rate went up in the later part of 2022, right? So I was seeing houses sitting on the market for 90 days, 100 days in 2023. And then by spring in 2024, the activity still hasn't picked up. So I actually got my license in 2023 because I knew I wanted to invest again. And I knew I could be my own realtor because I really like spent time studying the market. I'm very analytical. I've done a few deals, right? I know I can do deals for myself, right? So I got my license in December 2022. And in the spring, December 2023, in the spring of 2024, I saw homes like that were sitting in the market in 2023 and still couldn't sell, right? So there's one home like near my neighborhood. It was like 100 days on the market. And I just got my license and I heard about creative financing on YouTube. So I thought maybe this might be a deal that I could do a seller financing. So I approached the listing agent. I said, hey, I'm a realtor, also an investor. I see your client has this house on the market for 100 days. Is she willing to do a seller finance deal with me? And the reason I asked her is because I know that that house was bought in 2017 and she probably has a really low interest rate, right? So the interest rate back then, probably 3.5%, right? So I offered them a 4.5% interest rate on the seller financing deal so that it covers her mortgage payment. So I just kind of asked them, hey, are you willing to do that? And she said, I'm not sure, but let me ask my client, right? But they got back to me and they're willing to do the seller finance deal with me. And on top of that, I got the price down from a 450 list price to a 360 list price.
Awesome.
Yeah. So able to close at like 360 with $1,000 concession on fixing a few things. And then on top of that, I got my realtor commission, 3% commission on that. And I only pay 10% down, right?
Wow.
So I only pay like 36,000 and I got 10,000 back in commission. So I only paid 26,000 on that deal.
That's amazing. 26,000 for a whole house.
For a single family, like in the prime location, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It was built in 2017.
Right, right. And then that you got seller financing on.
I got seller financing. I'm able to just break even with long term, but I decided to do midterm rental because I had heard about the boom in Taylor, Texas, with the Samsung factories being built there. And my broker back then, my first broker, she has a couple houses in Huddle and Taylor that she was doing. She was doing midterm rentals to Samsung workers. So I thought that's a great idea because I can get 1.5 times the rent as long-term rental if I were to furnish it, right? So that's what I ended up doing with that property.
So that was your toe dip into the midterm area.
That was my toe, yes. Dip into the midterm rental.
Okay.
Yeah, yes.
And so you switch your strategy from investing in the long term to midterm. Would your long term also were self-managing, correct?
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
self-managing everything.
How is it different from long-term investing versus midterm, aside from furnishing the property?
It's very different in terms of how you get the clients or the guests, right? So in long term you call them tenants. In the midterm space you call them guests because they only stay there 3 to 6 months. It's 30-day minimum, but most of my guests stay 90 to 180 days. So the channels I'm using to get my guests are, Airbnb, Furnish Finder, or just like word of mouth, like Facebook marketing, Facebook Marketplace, or groups targeting my specific, market segment. Versus like a traditional long-term rental, like you put your listing on the MLS and you market through like Zillow, right? With midterm, you can still market through Zillow, but I haven't had success through Zillow. So like the channel of marketing are very different, midterm versus long term. Also managing them are different. With long term, like you want to really do a thorough inspection, like on their background check. You want to make sure they can pay you, right? But with midterm, a lot of these people, they are paid by the employers to live in your place. And their employer, so like say Samsung has contractors stay in my house, like Samsung has done the background already. So I don't necessarily have to do background check, right?
Oh.
And even with like Airbnb, they've done background check already, right? If that person who booked my property is verified on Airbnb, I don't do another additional background check, right? So in that sense, it's easier. Also, like I don't require as much deposit as long term. With long term, you need at least 1 month of deposit. With midterm, it depends on how many people are staying, but most of these people I host are, they're workers that work really hard during the day, right? They're not there to host parties, right? They're not gonna damage the home by hosting like big parties. So I don't really charge a lot of security deposit. I just do like 200 to 300 a person, right? And that's for if something got like stolen or if a desk got injured, not injured, but damaged, or if artwork got stolen or something. But that hasn't really happened to me. Like the most expensive thing that I got taken was like a little Target basket that I use in one of the bedrooms. That's $15. But really I don't charge that much deposit. Because they only stay for, like I said, 3 to 6 months. There's not much damage in the house. And the furnitures are in there, right? Because most of the damage on the house is done by moving furnitures. Yeah, moving furniture is the #1 cause of damage in your house.
Right. Awesome. So now you're midterm ready rental. Now you switch your whole strategy towards midterm, it seems like, right? We've been
Yeah.
talking about it. So you're acquiring more houses for midterm purpose only.
Definitely, yeah. So once I see the cash flow I'm able to make with midterm, I am hooked. I'm not going back to long term. Once I see with the three bedroom 2 bath house, I'm able to make at least 1.5 times what I'm making in long term, right? So I'm immediately cash flowing 1,000 to 1,500 on that one deal I closed on that small 3 bedroom. Then I learned about the strategy with midterm is, you're kind of charging based on bedroom counts, right? Bedroom and bathroom counts. Then after that one, I bought another one that's a 5 bedroom. It's really a 4 bedroom with 1 office. I convert to 5 bedroom. 5 bedroom, 3 bath. And it costs even less than that first one, costs $320. I bought it through a builder. Was able to get builder to pay a lot of things, including appliances, including like window treatments, all that. And I bought it in December. So December is a great month to buy from the builders because they have to hit their sales quota for the year. So you can really get great deals from the builders in December. So I bought like a really great house from this builder in Taylor, Texas, right next to the Samsung factory. So my thought was that if I could get Samsung people staying at my house in Round Rock, then I'm sure gonna get Samsung people staying in my house in Taylor because the factory is in Taylor. And they're building the factory at the time. They're still building it. So the demand is there. And so I bought a 5 bedroom, 329 actually, 329K, the 7.5% interest rate back then. My PITI is about 2,300, but with midterm I can charge 4,800 a month.
Wow.
So that's more than twice what I could charge as rental, as long-term rental.
Wow. So you're seeing amazing cash flow there.
Amazing cash flow, right? So with that property being a success, I just bought another one too. So this is my third one. I just closed in the last 1.5 years.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so the builders are really giving great incentives right now. So, and I don't know how long they're gonna keep doing that because we're gonna see interest rate drop, hopefully like this year. I mean, it's already dropping this year. My lenders are telling me they're seeing rates dropping by 0.25% already this month. So I think once interest rate keep dropping, this year or next year, the builders are not going to be providing all these incentives, right? Because people are going to be in the market buying. So now I want to take advantage of what they're offering. And one of the builders is offering 4.99% interest rate for investors, and that's unheard of. So once I found out about that, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna buy it. So my last deal, I actually did I actually increased the interest rate to 5.375. So by increasing it by 0.37%, I'm able to get almost 7,000 back in concession. So I used that concession along with a negotiated 2% realtor commission, along with my 20 grand commission. That's 27,000 that they can use towards closing, right?
Mhm.
So that really helped to offset my down payment.
Mhm. Mhm. And how are you saving money for these deals, Denise?
Yes. Yeah. So that first deal I did, you know, I had some bonus coming in from a W-2 job, and I sold some stocks. I had made some gains on some stocks earlier that year. So I was able to pay for that one. And then the second deal that I bought from the owner, I was thinking about doing a HELOC against my own house, my primary residence. I was gonna do that, but for some reason that loan officer had a lot of trouble just getting me approved. And I was under contract already, right? So I decided to take 50 grand from my 401k. So I took a 50 grand loan from a 401k, and I sold some more stocks. So that was enough to pay for the house, for my second house.
Mhm.
Um, and then my third one, with the cash flow I'm making from my first and the second house, is easy to save once you have these midterm rentals making you 2,000, $1,500 a month, right? Is that you can easily save, 30 to 40 grand on these midterm rentals, right? So some saving from that, and then some earlier investment I made, like in the stock market, I was able to use that to buy, my third house.
Mhm. Mhm. Amazing, amazing. And there's so many things there to unpack of like using your W-2 to propel you into the real estate investing and then using cash flow accumulation from to get you that next house. And then a lot of people think like, well, when am I gonna, when they start investing and things come up or you continue to grow, when am I actually gonna take money away from this cash flow to live, right? To actually pay my expenses and do when I'm like it seems like you've been investing since 2016 and now it's the 2025 and then you're still growing, so you're still reinvesting every dollar, right? When do you think you're going to be like, now I feel comfortable with my portfolio and now I can reap the benefits of the fruit that I've been sitting in?
I think if I just keep buying one or two a year, um, maybe I think maybe 5 years from now I'll be in a place that I feel my cash flows can support me, support me and my family. I have a son who's 9 years old who's severely autistic, so he needs a lot of help. And that's one of the drivers of me wanting to buy real estate and using the real estate portfolio to support my lifestyle. Because then I can retire early and spend more time with him. So that's the kind of the whole purpose. Um, but to answer your question, I bought properties in like 2016, 17, but I stopped buying for a few years, right? Had I continued buying during that time from like 18 to 2020, I would be in a better position. But I didn't because there's some family reasons. My son was diagnosed. I was not in a space to invest. I can was just focused on my son at the time. Um, yeah, but now I think, especially in Austin, it's a great time for investors because the price have come down significantly since 2022. So we reached a peak in the spring 2022. But now you're seeing homes in the 300s again. For a long time, you couldn't find homes in the 300s in Austin, in the suburbs. But now sellers are very motivated. It's easy to find deals. It's easy to negotiate deals with seller financing. You still have to put in the work, and not every single deal works as seller financing. But there are deals out there, even just homes on the MLS. A lot of them, sellers are advertising they're willing to buy down interest rate for you. So it's a great time right now for buyers, especially investors, to buy in the Austin area.
Yeah, and you're taking advantage of it for sure. But thank you for sharing all the information. I mean, it only shows how strong is your why, right? Like how much of time you want to spend and how much freedom you want to have to be next to your son and be there for them. And that's just like beautiful, right? Like that real estate is going to be like the, I guess, the connector to help you do that.
Definitely, you have to know your reason and having the big why.
Yeah.
Just if you know your big why, then it's a lot easier to be disciplined and taking actions. But if you don't know the why, then it's easier to just spend the money, spend the cash flow, and not reinvest. Um, so I think knowing your reasons is very important.
Right, right. And then a lot of people may look at you and think like, oh, well, she was so lucky. She was, she bought 10 years ago at the right time. But it just discounts from the amount of work that you have to do. You have a W-2, you were able to get your realtor's license, would even, propel you into like getting a hold of these deals with commissions that can be applied towards the credit, towards
Mhm.
your out of pocket money. But you did so many things that people may hear your story and think about like, oh, it's like so easy for her because of this and this and this. But it's like not. You put in the work and you have discipline, like you said. You put in discipline and you have a big motivator right there, your son
Mhm.
as well.
Yeah, I'm taking risk too. A lot of people are afraid of taking risk. Um, But like when I do my research on a certain area, like I feel confident about like the demand and the supply in that market. And like even like I know I'm taking some risk, but I'm confident it's gonna work out. You have to do your research on the market too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a calculated risk for sure.
Right.
So I'm going to see you next year on the Aura event in Vegas. Are you going to come?
I haven't bought my ticket yet, but I'm going to. Yeah, I just been so busy lately with furnishing my latest purchase, my latest midterm rental. I haven't
Right.
had a chance to, but yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting you and meeting the other ladies in our ORAC community.
Amazing, amazing. And one last question, so you tell the audience is like, who would you like recommend people to listen or to watch if they're trying to get into real estate and then they don't know what to do? Like, what kind of influencers or books or YouTubes or podcasts would you tell them to go and see?
Yeah, so definitely reach that for that. That book is really life-changing. Even I read it just this year, like I still feel it changes my mindset. Even though I was already on the FIRE movement, that book was still very life-changing. Um, and then secondly, I just recommend like listening to the bigger pocket podcast or Michael Zuber's, the daily financial news. Um, Jason Hartman is another great resource. He's amazing. He has a lot of resources available online too. I also read Coach Carson's book, um, and he recommends about like investing in satellite cities, and he talked about how to pick houses based on your rent to price ratio, things like that. I think that book was valuable too. Um, Yeah, you just have to find your own niche, right? I mean, there's so much available information online on YouTube. Once you start listening to real estate, they're gonna keep recommending you all these different channels, and that's how I find about ORAT, right? Because I was listening to Bigger Pocket, and they recommended me Michael Zuber's channel, and Jason Harmon's channel. Um, so YouTube has an algorithm that can find your niche for you.
Mhm. And if anybody wants to reach you to talk to you about midterm rentals or possibly using you as a realtor in Taylor, Texas, how do we contact you?
So they can reach me at denise.xue@kw.com. So I'm a licensed realtor with the Keller Williams Realty in the Austin area.
Awesome,
Happy to
awesome.
answer any questions.
Yes. And then we'll have you back on the channel probably, sometime soon so we can see what you're up to over there and how's your market growing? Okay.
Yeah, I'm happy to come back next year. Hopefully with more rentals in my portfolio to share.
Yes. Thank you for watching, guys.
Okay, thanks, Lindsay. Thanks, everyone.